All right, everyone, here's a quick lesson of a question that came up based on yesterday's lesson. And it's about an instrument changing its actual sound based on the attack. And so this was confusing a little bit. So let me give you an example. So I pulled up a concert flute full here, and that's under the PreSonus Presence plugin as one of the presets. And if you listen to it, sounds like a nice normal flute. But if I hit the key on my keyboard harder, you get that little different sound right at the beginning of it. You get that little like high pitched, I don't want to say squeak, but you get like that different sound. So if I press the key softly, I get this nice mellow flute. And if I press it harder, then I get that little pop at the beginning. And that is not a mistake. That actually is on purpose. So if we open up our sound here and you see the keyboard going, that's all normal. And then if I hit it harder, we get the different sound. But then I wanted to point this out to you. This gray line going across here, those are all the normal notes in the flute range. Now, of course, this starts to sound pretty weird down here. You don't really have flutes playing that. So normally the gray part won't even be there for one of the sounds. Normally, excuse me, it'll actually stop and it won't allow you to play notes that are out of an instrument's range. But for some reason, they kept this one going. I think it's because you get a kind of cool effect of having this low flute. It's kind of fun. But then you'll notice one with red. So if I press that key, my sounds actually change. And it's not as obvious with the flute example. I wanted to show you the flute to point out the attack problem there. So you have to always check your velocities. But if I'm in presence, let's just bring a new presence in here. And if I do something like a contemporary string section, maybe I do a violin section. Now notice there's more red keys here. So here's the gray. And if I press, this is what I was talking about before. If I press this key, it's out of range for the instrument. That one's out of range. All of these are out of range here. But as soon as I play the next key up, now I can hear it. So it sounds really nice. But then notice there's a bunch of red keys down here. So let's just press this red key here and see what happens. So you'll notice there's no sound. But now when I press the key up here, I get that little fall. Let's do this red key and see what happens to my normal notes. Now it's short. Even if I hold the key, you'll notice the key's grayed out. I'm holding it, but it's staccato. If I press this one and I press and hold, it does like a sustained short note. If I press this one, it's a medium sustain. And you can see now my answers are getting spoiled here before I play them. Pizzicato. So that's if the violinists aren't using their bow and they're plucking the string with their finger. If I do this one, that's a long note. If I do this one, a little trill. Half step trill. Tremolo. So the bow's going back and forth. Octave glissando. And then there's my normal sustain. So that's where it defaults if I'm just playing long notes. So every once in a while, someone will pull up one of these sounds, and it won't be the sound they think it's going to be. Like, they think it's going to be that nice sustained sound you just heard. But then it'll be something like this. And they'll be like, why doesn't it sustain anymore? Well, it's because the synthesizer allows you to change the sound by these red keys down here. So these actually aren't keys. It actually changes what's happening to the sound. And if you forget, just hover over one of the keys and it'll tell you, like right there, it says trill WT for whole step. And it also tells you up here what setting you're on. If I'm on pizzicato, so that could be really useful. And that happens in a lot of different sounds here. So when you're in presence, if you pull one in and you pull up a sound, and I'm just going to pick one at random here, and I get this, notice it's all gray. Those are all sounds that I can use because I'm on like that's a keys synthesizer one. But if I'm on something like a wind instrument or an orchestra instrument, a lot of times there's going to be different options for us. There they are. There's the different options. There's my normal notes, and then there's my different things there. Okay, so I hope this video makes sense to you. I hope you have some new sounds that you might be able to explore. And I encourage you to pull up a sound, whether it's a wind instrument or a string instrument, and hit one of those red keys and see how it changes. But remember, it's going to change everything in there. So you have to keep that in mind as you're building out your sounds. Okay, hope this helps. As always, let me know if you have any questions. See you later.